Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and I'm so glad you could stop by here today for this video adventure. And, again, I'm going to wish all of you a happy Marcintosh. Now, having said that, we do have a change in plan, and I'm sure you've noted that because you probably looked at the video title before clicking on the video. I had originally planned to do the video on the 2003 dual processor 1.8 gigahertz PowerMac G5 and its original operating system, then do a report on Sorbet Leopard, following up on the Sorbet installation. For a couple of reasons, I've decided to move ahead with the wrap-up video, at least so far as I can tell now, on Jaguar on the PowerPC PowerMac. It's fascinated me. Plus the fact the machine is hooked up now, and I just as soon not unhook it, hook up the quad again, only to rehook this. So let's get this done. But it's a really fascinating story. Okay, as you'll remember, of course, in our last video, I installed 10.2.7 G5 edition on this machine. That would be the operating system for which it was released. For the rest of the users, it was a relatively small number of people using these PowerMacs. They were very powerful and very expensive in the day. So people using older Macs did get an update pushed to 10.2.7, which was pulled within a small number of days because it had problems. Now, I'm sure there were some people who, in fact, did update in that relatively brief window, but the vast number of users of Leopard went from 12.2.6 to 12.2.8 when it finally was released. This machine, though, was released with 12.2.7, but the G5 edition, which didn't have the problems that were affecting the earlier machines. However, there was released a specific G5 update to 12.2.8. Part of a video, at the end of the video today, we're going to be updating this machine to that. But before I do that, I want to cover some of the differences that I found with this particular version of Jaguar, as opposed to ones I had seen before, and then some of the updates and improvements that I have made to it in terms of giving it more functionality. So if you're interested in seeing how all of that goes and seeing the result of the update, please stay tuned. Alright, and here we are in front of this venerable machine. We'll remind ourselves a little bit about this Mac. Mac OS X version 10.2.7 G5 edition. This is the 8 gigabytes of memory with the dual 1.8 gigahertz PowerPC G5. That is dual processor. These are two single core processors. Okay, that should be all we need to see there. Now, just the lineup of icons you see here, Jaguar and Tiger HD are partitions of the same hard drive. There are two spinning hard drives in the machine. We also have Leopard with its own hard drive. This is the updater that I've downloaded. Apple still keeps it available and pretty darn easy to find on their website. And we'll begin this OS9 General.dmg. We will be getting to that in a bit. But before we do, I want to think a little bit about the differences that we see. In the original Jaguar, yes, mail was there. There had been a mail application right in the very beginning of OS X, going all the way back to Rhapsody. iChat had been there for a while too. I had noted that iMovie was there and iPhoto was there, and in comparatively advanced versions too, which surprised me. That's a result of when this particular version of Jaguar was released in September of 20 of 2003. All right, I had missed this one. Safari. Safari had been around since January of 2003 in alpha and beta versions. It was announced first in January. It went through a beta. It didn't really become available until 10.3 Panther came out, and also in this special G5 edition of Jaguar. Okay, I also don't remember whether iCal was an original part of the Jaguar operating system. I'd really have to go back and look at an earlier Jaguar to tell. Oh, I wouldn't even be able to do that. And this is all part of the iLife suite. Now, as far as improvements that I have made, I did in fact add GarageBand and iDVD, which were both part of iLife 2004. That was released specifically for Panther, but it was compatible with Jaguar as well, at least the later versions of Jaguar. Now, QuickTime Player, I want to check the version. Yeah, 6.5, and that too, I believe, came along with the iLife suite. Okay, system preferences. Now, other things that I have added. iWork. I still have this feeling that there was a very early version of iWork that would run on Panther, but on Jaguar, but I couldn't find it. So we're left with AppleWorks. Hello? There we go. Okay, word processing, spreadsheet, database, drawing, painting. It's got your typical Office applications. AppleWorks was the linear descendant of ClarisWorks. Apple chose, when OS X first came out, to carbonize AppleWorks in part as a demonstration, simply to show how easy it was to use Carbon to update your OS 9 app to run natively in OS X, and this is running natively in OS X. Now, once they did that, they let it languish. It hasn't had a meaningful update since, well, in this century, really. But for your basic, Office suite needs, it works. As do these things: PowerPoint, Excel, and Word, all from Microsoft Office 10X, which was a direct port of the Office suite from Microsoft Office 2001, which was an OS 9 app, and was ported on to the OS 10 systems. Okay, and this was the most recent version that would actually run on Jaguar. Windows Media Player happened to come along with the Office suite. Now, I don't know that I have any actual use for it, but there it is. And an old friend of mine from years gone by, and something I still use to this day, the Print Shop. This is a cool little application. I use it primarily to create online greetings, although you can do print cards as well, and it can just be fun. And it works pretty decently, even back here on this old version. All right, and now we see some of the other things. ClassZilla, and games installed Alias. That's what this was about. Probably potentially the greatest use for this system in modern times would be running OS 9 applications. Even though it cannot boot into OS 9, the classic environment in the first three versions, 10.0, 10.1, 10.2, was a much more robust thing than in 10.3 Panther, or particularly in Tiger. Running classic Mac applications in Tiger, particularly games, is almost impossible. And that's where this OS9 general.dmg comes up. So we'll open it up. Skip that, I've already opened it. Okay, what you see here in this disk image is everything that you need in order to have a functional Mac OS 9 system. You can't run a CD installer because the machine won't accept it. It won't boot into OS 9, and the OS 9 installers have to boot into a live CD version of OS 9. So this actually was first released for the MDD, the Power Mac G4 MDD, the last and most powerful of the Power Mac G4s. They were also the last versions of Power Macs that could actually boot into OS 9, but they needed a special version of OS 9. This is it. So all you would do is simply copy all of that onto your hard drive, onto the root of your hard drive, and you would then be able to go into System Preferences, select OS 9 as your boot disk, and go from there. However, it could be used, and it's particularly valuable with the G5s that came with Jaguar, to add in an OS 9 installation to use under Classic. All right. So yeah, I've already copied that over and installed some applications. Okay, we can eject that. Might as well get that into the trash because I have that saved in numerous other locations. All right. Now, Mail and Safari are completely useless. Could not open the page. See, you can't even open apple.com. I wonder. Oops, I put. Yeah, typing around the camera is always an adventure. Nope, it can't even go to Google. Almost anything can go to Google. It says, okay, would you like to continue anyway? So if you click past it, yes, you can go to Google. Okay. It won't get much of any place else. So really, the only internet access you have is the now very limited access you get from ClassZilla. Now, when I click this icon, or double-click this icon, we should see... Oh, Classic, I already had Classic running. Okay, and here we are. It goes to the Classic Archive page. Now, where can we go? Yep, managed to get that typed correctly. And here we are at Macintosh Garden. You can't get to an awful lot of sites, but it is handy to be able to get into Macintosh Garden, find that which you're looking for. Incidentally, if you're looking for iLife or iWork, you're not going to find it there anymore. Apple forced them to take those pages down. And that's sad. Another thing I've noticed in working through this, Macintosh repository seems to have disappeared entirely. If anybody knows anything about that, please pop it into the comments. Oh, that's right. The scroll doesn't work. Okay. So let's do a search. Mac OS. Yeah. It's a little bit on the slow side. All right. And we'll go to the main page for Mac OS 9. Now, I actually downloaded that OS 9 General on my Mac Pro and sent it to this machine over the network. You can still contact your local network. Okay. Shoot. Custom variants of Mac OS 9.2.2. All right. Okay, yes. This would be where you would go, I think. No, it doesn't. There's a utility you can download. That would add scrolling capabilities. Okay, I'm not gonna take the time at this point, but you can find that OS 9 General on Macintosh Garden through the use of ClassZilla. And, you know, at this point, probably the most common thing, oh, this is going to be loud. Games. It's going to change to 256 colors. This is an old game, but you'll recognize this, of course, if you've ever messed around with a Windows 9X machine. Okay, here's the bowl. Flippers are working. This is the bowl. Oops, didn't hit it quite hard enough. Time. This is addictive. But you try to run this on Tiger or even Panther and forget it. It's just, it is not a playable experience. Okay. Let's quit out of that because, you know, but I'll tell you, it is fun and it is beautifully playable. I've done it on OS 9 computers where it is not that smooth. That may have to do. This is compared to most machines that, or any machine can run OS 9 natively. This is Doom, Ultimate Doom 1. And you're going to have to reset it again. This is just a demo running now. Okay, let's quit out of this. And let's reset the monitor. Handy that it sets it back automatically. And I mean, I can get totally lost with Oregon Trail. I mean, these After Dark games are fun little time wasters. Anyhow, so those are things that you can do in, OS 9 Classic. All right, now I think the last thing to do before we wind this up, let's run this updater and take it to its final version, 10.2.8. Let's authenticate. Okay. Okay. This isn't going to take awfully long. This update came out very shortly after the original version did. The famous less than a minute. Maybe the optimizing will be the end of this part. And the thing is, I know if I end the clip here and come back, it'll just reboot itself and it'll be gone. Oh well. Suppose I should tell you some funny stories or something, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Okay. So now it'll reboot. And watch, with my luck, it will never start again. Oh dear. Okay, there we go. I love the way this machine makes that like a car revving up before it takes off. After that, it's usually pretty quiet. Give it full credit. Here we go. And here we are. 10.2.8 for G5. All right. So in conclusion, was this worth doing? Well, I certainly found it worth doing, if only because I just learned so much in the process of doing this about Apple history. And while I knew a lot about the history of this machine, I hadn't really delved into the intricacies of its operating system and what could be done with it. And I do find this would be very, very useful if you happen to want to play Mac OS 9 games. And I think a lot of the most fun games for Mac are old OS 9 games. Classic environment on a G5 under Jaguar, I think is probably about as good as it gets. So, be good to other people. They need it and deserve it. Be good to yourselves. Any good we do in this world has to start with being good to ourselves. We have to be at our best to be able to help the rest of the world. We can make the world a better place. It isn't yet, so please take very, very good and careful care. Okay, so next week's video should be the video about the first and last PowerPC Mac Mini. I won't go into that in any more detail. And then after that, this happy month of Marcintosh will be done, and we'll be back into more regular content. That doesn't preclude PowerPC content by any means, but we won't be as dead focused on it. So until all of the things that will come up do come up and are available on the channel, this has been Broken Electronics.